Care offers convenient access to same-day urgent and emergency care, plus an expanded primary care team, currently accepting new patients. Schedule or learn more at zoomcare.com. Bellagio's Pizza, dough and sauce made fresh 6 days a week, right here in Wilsonville, and proud to be serving Northwest communities since 1996. Order online or through the app by Multnomah County Behavioral Health Division. Don't let the game play you. For more information on problem gambling prevention and treatment resources, visit opgr.org. By Victorico's Mexican Food. Order Victorico's for your game day celebration, in-store or online for pickup or delivery at victoricos.com. Legends Casino Hotel in Toppenish, within winning distance. Audi Wilsonville, offering unmatched service to help you find the perfect car. Online at AudiWilsonville.com. Laurelhurst Market, more than just your friendly neighborhood steakhouse. Make your reservation today at laurelhurstmarket.com. By Unitas Community Credit Union. Join the team at Unitas Community Credit Union to help you reach your financial goals. And by Langdon Farms Golf Club. There's no better course in the Northwest for year-round golf. Book your tee time at langdonfarms.com. Now, here are your hosts, Jordan Schultz, Dusty Hara, and former Ducks and NFL star Anthony Newman with Ducks Game Day on the Odyssey app and 1080 The Fan.
That's right. What is up, sports fans? Welcome into a very ironic pregame show covering the Oregon Ducks taking on the UCLA Bruins later tonight down at the Rose Bowl. Schultz and Anthony Newman. No Dusty Hara, of course. He is down doing sideline duty for the Ducks v. UCLA. Anthony, good to have you in. Happy Saturday. Congrats, by the way, on another West Lynn win.
Oh, thank you.
Appreciate
great.
That. Heard about, 45-0 over Sky?
45-0.
Your lives just continue to roll, don't they?
That is, yeah, we're rolling. We got a long way to go. We have some work to do, but we're rolling. We're looking good on offense, defense. We're not beating ourselves. Unlike last week, we almost did, but it looked good last night. It was fun. We played at 5 o'clock.
Oh.
That was a crazy game at 5 o'clock up there at Skyview at Keegan's Bowl in Vancouver.
Yeah.
Neat stadium. Real neat stadium.
It is cool. I covered a game up there
Did
once.
you?
Yeah, it's a different spot.
It is. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Of course, that is Jeff Rust behind the glass doing all the heavy lifting for us, doing all the weather reports, and keeping you up to date on everything happening out there. But, of course, we are here talking about, well, I would say a pretty awesome kind of faux Pac-12 After Dark matchup, right? Pac-12 After Dark lives, baby! Even though this is technically the first ever in-conference Big Ten matchup for the Oregon Ducks, it comes against a very familiar foe, Anthony, in the UCLA Bruins, who, of course, also left the Pac-12 for the Big Ten. So I'll start you off with a simple one, Q.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, no, try me. Go ahead.
Going. No, I was going to ask a question. Do you think anybody on the East Coast is watching Oregon UCLA?
Only the degenerates, probably. Yeah.
I mean,
the
people that just really dig football.
I mean, come on. Now, you watch, if you're on the East Coast, you're watching a lot of football.
Yeah.
After a while, in the evening, you kind of sit down and go, okay, I'm done with football. And it's about 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You're like, I had enough. I've seen SportsCenter. I've seen a lot of stuff.
You start seeing some replays, like the same highlight packages.
Let's watch a movie.
Yeah, maybe they're flipping between this game and the season premiere of Saturday Night Live.
Oh, yeah. Is that happening tonight?
Yeah.
Wow.
Season 50.
Wow.
Oh, really?
50.
Did not realize.
Wow.
Couldn't care less, apparently, because I didn't know that it was happening tonight. No, I am excited about this very, very awesome matchup. It is a faux Pac-12 After Dark, but, of course, with two Pac-12 teams, or former Pac-12 teams now in the Big Ten. Anthony, excited, but a little nervous, I would say, because, of course, Oregon did have some early season struggles until we saw them show up against Oregon State really in full. But I'll start you off simply. How are you feeling going into Oregon's game against UCLA after a bye week and against a much inferior opponent?
Yeah, I'm feeling good after watching, the Oregon take care of Oregon State. Oregon State's a good football team. They have a good defense. Their running game was great. They throw the ball all over the place. So Oregon did well. Oregon played their best game, as a team, offense, defense, and special teams.
Yeah.
And that's really important. But, sometimes when you're rolling like that, do you want to have a bye or do you want to keep going? Like, do you want to keep playing week to week to week because you're in that groove?
Exactly.
You got it. But now you have a bye. Now the bye is a good thing. Get healthy. Guys that are injured, hey, get in treatment room. Get fixed up, get ready to rock and roll, practice, work on your technique, your fundamentals, understand the mistakes that you made in the last 3 games, and then go again. but sometimes you come out a little rusty.
See,
that first half.
I looked at it this way, that it was a good time for the bye week, just the way the schedule plays out from here, because it still feels like a Pac-12 game this
Yep.
week. But then next
Yeah.
week you got the Michigan State on a
Yeah,
Friday
correct.
night, which
Correct.
things can go wonky.
Yeah, you're
and
right.
then you got Ohio State after
Oh,
that.
yes.
So I
Oh,
was
yeah.
thinking, like with the bye, it kind of almost halfway eliminates the look-ahead aspect
Yeah,
of
true.
playing UCLA.
True.
That's a good point, Rusty. Actually, kind of helps Oregon really ease into things, like with their entry into the Big Ten.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
a
yeah.
very familiar opponent before it really is
True.
kind of a shot to the arm and something very new with a
Yeah.
Friday night game against Michigan State next Friday. But I don't want to look too far ahead because there are people out there that think that Oregon is going to absolutely roll against UCLA today. There are some, though, that think maybe this could be another prove-it game for Oregon after seeing some early season struggles. Of course, Oregon down to 8th in the AP poll after starting the year at number 3. Is that a concern for you, or is it just
No.
too early to care
Listen,
about rankings?
No, those are the people with looking at the glass half empty. There's always a team that they're going to say, they're going to give Oregon trouble. This is the game. It's a trap game. They say that every game. They say that every week. Okay. No, UCLA, let's be honest. Now, you have to play the game. I understand that. On paper, right? I know we don't play on paper, but on paper, they're not a very good football team right now. They lost a lot of dudes. The defensive player of the year, they lost everybody on this football team. Guys transferring out, new coach. It takes a minute. It takes it takes a year, maybe a couple years to start getting in the recruits, getting in the kids that he wants to coach. Deshaun Foster, the head coach.
Yeah.
So right now they are struggling. I mean, their best rusher, okay, he has 73 yards on the year. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, they don't have a great rushing game, do
Is
they?
that bad?
I mean, that's 73 yards.
Do you see how many points they're averaging? Like
15.
15.3-ish or something like that? It's
now,
pretty bad.
yeah, exactly, exactly right. But you still have to play the game. You still have to go out there as Oregon and execute, and don't give them any light. Now, it's not going to be a crowd pleaser. There's not a lot of people going to be in Pasadena, and you'll get the golf claps every now and then because I played it with the Rams, played in LA for a long time. You don't get hyped up over these games, but still, you're on the road. You're playing, in the Rose Bowl, and those kids for UCLA, they're going to be hyped. They got nothing to lose, right? Got nothing to lose.
Yeah,
Get after it.
Yeah, this is definitely one of the games on their schedule I'm sure they've been looking at. They were competing against LSU last week, to their credit, excuse me. At the half, it was close, and that was a better turnaround for them, especially after facing off against Indiana and just eating it the week before. So we actually are going to get some info from behind enemy lines coming up here in just a minute. James H. Williams, an LA sports reporter for USA Today and host of Believe in UCLA Football, is going to come on, try to educate Anthony and I and y'all on what the UCLA Bruins are bringing to the table against the number 8 Oregon Ducks today. But first, it's time for Ducks Game Day weather every 10 minutes. Brought to you by Victorico's Mexican Food. Order Victorico's for your game day celebration in store or online for pickup or delivery at victoricos.com. Here's Jeff Rust.
It is 73 and sunny here in Portland. Ducks game day forecast calls for increasing clouds throughout the afternoon and evening, looking at a low of 50 tomorrow. Mostly sunny with a high of 69. For the 8 o'clock kick in Pasadena, look for clear skies, 68 degrees, very little wind. I'm Jeff Rust with Ducks game day weather every 10 minutes, brought to you by Victorico's Mexican Food.
Football season is back.
Coors Light presents Ducks Game Day. Mountain cold refreshment. Choose chill. Celebrate responsibly.
Here's the sweep, the fly sweep, and the double. Oh, the ball's loose. Oregon might have a chance and will get on it back at the 23-yard line.
This is Behind Enemy Lines. A look at Ducks opponents with the insiders who know them best. On the Odyssey app and 1080 The Fan.
All right, joining us now for Behind Enemy Lines, very gracious with his time. He's the host of Believe in UCLA Football and an LA sports reporter for USA Today, James H. Williams. What's going on, James? Thanks for taking time to come on the show. How you doing down there in LA today? I was just there yesterday. I know the weather's nice, that's for sure.
The weather is nice. The traffic isn't so nice. So it's a give and take here in California, as you would expect. But happy to be on with you, and yeah, excited to talk some football today.
Yeah, appreciate it. I got a dose of that traffic for sure going to see the Dodgers. But set the scene for us for Ducks fans when it comes to UCLA and the football program now under new head coach Deshaun Foster. You know, I think UCLA is better than people think. I do think them holding UCLA or LSU to a close score in that first half last week proves that. And you're obviously the perfect person to explain why to all of us. So what's the scoop with this new look Big Ten Bruins team so far this year?
Yeah, I think you kind of pointed it out right there, and I think it was important for them to have somewhat of a decent showing at the very least against LSU. They needed to show some sort of fight, some sort of effort. A couple weeks ago there was questions about whether there was a lack of energy within the program, and we're talking about, getting ready for that game against LSU. So that was coming off of a surprising fashion in the way they lost to Indiana in the home opener. So yeah, things have been a little rocky to start. I mean, even when they were 1-1 to start the season, it didn't even feel like 1-1. It felt like 0-2. But yeah, a lot of it goes back to just kind of the changes that have happened for this program in short time. Obviously, those who are familiar with Dante Moore at this point spent last year as a true freshman at UCLA. He was among some of those changes that happened. Ethan Garbers is currently the starting quarterback, but he found himself in a three-man rotation with Colin Schley and Dante Moore, and things were ugly at that position last year. So Ethan Garbers is still trying to find his footing as the full-time starter in a way. So there have been some growing pains there, so that's something to kind of keep an eye on. He did play a little better in that first half against LSU, so hopefully for his sake, things continue in a positive direction for him. But yeah, the coaching change, obviously, again, Oregon fans are familiar with Chip Kelly. Chip Kelly decides to demote himself in some regard to take that offensive coordinator job at Ohio State. And Deshaun Foster had left the program after 5 or 6 years as the running backs coach at UCLA, decides to come back after a 2-week stint as the running backs coach for the Las Vegas Raiders, takes over the job way after the hiring cycle had taken place. The transfer portal was already moving about. So UCLA was already kind of playing behind the 8-ball a little bit. They did bring in Eric Bieniemy, who was a nice addition and still trying to get that offense to click on full cylinders. But a lot of changes that they're kind of having to overcome and a few new faces. But overall, it's the same roster from last year. It's just about getting over some of these early season growing pains that they've gone through.
Hey, James, Anthony Newman here. My kids live in Los Angeles, and I always hear them telling me about traffic. So I'm glad I don't have to deal with that. Hey, today's offense is a little different than it used to be, and it's all about scoring points. And the offensive groups, they will score points. When you look at UCLA's average at 15 points per game, where's with the group that's playing, where's the issues? What's happening there?
Yeah, I think a lot of it, I mean, we mentioned this to Deshaun Foster, and he's not really, I don't want to say playing into it, but doesn't seem as concerned as the stat sheet would kind of show. But the running game, like there's kind of this, things aren't moving very well in the running game, or at least statistically anyways. So it's kind of like when you have Garbers kind of struggling a little bit there with the offense and the running game hasn't really found its footing. The offense has kind of been a little shaky. Again, there's so many guys that are returning from the roster last year that it's surprising that you would think they'd be a little further along, but obviously there's a new offense that they're having to learn, and I think especially for UCLA fans, they are expecting to see more points and more excitement coming out of this offense, but that's kind of what happens when you've been under that Chip Kelly offense the last couple of years. It had been pretty easy to score points at a high clip, but now that hasn't been the case. I would campaigns. The strength of this offense is its receiving core. So whether it's a matter of Garber's not being able to find his targets the way he should, or what the disconnect is there's just some wrinkles that they still need to work out. But wouldn't be surprised if you see one of those two things take priority today, whether it's that receiving core finally getting it together or there being a priority put on the run game, and hopefully they're able to get something going there.
Yeah, James, the running game for UCLA, you're talking about UCLA's offense, hasn't really been that great. Is that something that they're going to stay away from against Oregon today, or is there anything they can really do to maybe, I don't know, shore up their offense? Because obviously Oregon's defense, maybe not the best in the country, but they've got a lot of bigger guys back there now in the defensive backfield and up front. So they're looking more like a Big Ten defense than they have before, for sure.
Yeah, I'll be kind of curious to see how the running game does, especially. So they made a change at offensive line. They added in Nicky Pongos, a guy who started off as a walk-on about a year or two ago. I think maybe it's been 2 or 3 years at this point. It just literally got put on scholarship this week, as he should, considering he's now going to be starting on that offensive line. So hopefully he continues to provide a positive spark there. They liked what they saw from him in that LSU game. They did have Makavili, a transfer from UNLV, who came in, and they kind of were expecting him to help shore up what was some of the obvious struggles with the offensive line last year. They thought he'd be an answer for them. That appears to not have been the case, at least early on. Things can always change, but they're going to be leaning on who was a former walk-on up until this past week on that offensive line. Maybe that helps shore up some of the run game. They do have some veterans back there with TJ Harden among their leading returners from last year. He's back. Again, just hasn't been able to get it going the way they want. They did get a very late transfer in Jalen Berger, who literally came in the day before training camp started and didn't get acclimated and actually put into full padded practice until about a week before the season started. So he's been kind of taking it slow and getting it acclimated. But Foster's expecting him to take on a bigger workload, and I think that starts this week. So I'd be looking to see what Jalen Berger can do in addition to what TJ Harden does this week.
All right, James, appreciate the education. You taught me a little bit about UCLA, and I'm definitely excited to see them match up against Oregon in the inaugural Big Ten matchup for the Ducks. Thanks for taking the time to come on with us. I hope I can make it down to LA and have a beer with you when we're actually playing each other, and I can be there. That'd be fun. So appreciate you coming on, James. Thanks again.
Awesome. Happy to have you out, and hopefully it's a good day out at the Rose Bowl today.
Yes, absolutely. All right, waving him as he goes. That is James H. Williams. He is a LA sports reporter for USA Today and host of the Believe in UCLA Football podcast. All right, coming up next, we're going to take a look at the injuries for both Oregon and UCLA. But first, we got to get to a Ducks Game Day weather report. It's every 10 minutes, brought to you by Victor Rico's Mexican Food. Order Victor Rico's for your game day celebration in-store or online for pickup or delivery at victorricos.com. Here's Jeff Rust.
It is 73 and sunny here in Portland. Ducks Game Day forecast calls for increasing clouds throughout the afternoon and evening, looking at a low of 50. Tomorrow, mostly sunny with a high of 69. For the 8 o'clock kick in Pasadena, clear skies, 68 degrees, very little wind. I'm Jeff Rust with Ducks Game Day weather every 10 minutes, brought to you by Victor Rico's Mexican Food.
Coors Light presents Ducks Game Day.
We should have our guys available. Right now, we're still waiting to see. Have some guys that still have to get healthy.
This is the Zoom Care Injury Report. A look at the injuries that could impact today's game and the key matchups in college football. Brought to you by Zoom Care. With more than 20 neighborhood clinics in Oregon and Southwest Washington, Zoom Care offers convenient access to same-day urgent and emergency care, plus an expanded primary care team, currently accepting new patients. Schedule or learn more at zoomcare.com.
All right, some big news as far as the injury front goes for year number 8 Oregon Ducks. Dan Lanning making a comment, actually. We'll focus on 3 players for the Ducks, a couple of which we've been kind of waiting with bated breath to hear about. But one, we'll start with Gary Bryant Jr., wide receiver for Oregon, not playing at all yet this season. Now, Oregon's wide receiving core has obviously become much deeper over the years. Now it's Holden, it's Evan Stewart, it's Tez Johnson. I've seen, Kyler Casper making a couple of catches so so far this
Yep.
year. But usually in that mix is Gary Bryant Jr. Dan Lanning said that he will be down for a bit with an unspecified injury, Anthony. That's not good news no matter how you shake
No,
it.
it's not. But I'm going to talk to you like an old coach, a coach,
Okay.
I should say. Hey, I'm dealing with the guys that are playing. Right, the
Fair.
guys that are on the field, the guys are going to be playing, guys are going to be warming up. You got your pads on, you got your cleats on, you're all laced up, you got the helmet on, the mouthpiece in. That's who we're dealing with, and that's what we got to go with. Because you wish you have some of these guys. Yes, it would be nice, but they can't play now. That situation with Bryant, I don't know. That's not good when he says.
Yeah, when you don't say what the injury
yeah,
is.
and I mean, did someone see him get hurt? Maybe in practice.
Yeah.
That's but you move on. And it's always about the next guy. Who is the next guy? Justin Lowe. I mean, somebody's going to step up. We'll see. But Oregon already has a ton of receivers.
Exactly.
Already. So you just keep moving. You keep, you're on the train. The train's not going to slow down. It keeps going. You just got to jump off because right now you're not a part of it.
Yeah,
That's harsh. It is, but it is what it is because it's a contact collision football game. Everybody's banging all the time, so injuries will happen, and that's why the next guy, second string, third string, even fourth string, you need to be ready because you're one play away from getting in the ball game.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. It's a next guy up mentality in the world of sports. It's why they ask, are you hurt or are you injured? Because if you're injured, you sit, and you don't want to sit. That's bad. So, yeah, obviously, with us not knowing what happens or what is happening with Gary Bryant Jr. right now, not very great. Have not seen him on the field yet this year. Somebody else we have not seen on the field yet this year, defensive back Jaleel Florence, still out recovering from off-season surgery. The Ducks secondary, though, really stepping it up, Anthony. Brandon Johnson, Jabbar Muhammad. Jabbar coming in as a transfer along with Kobe Savage. I mean, thankfully, those guys, along with like the younger guys that have seemed to rotate in, that's a position Oregon has some depth at.
Well, and also you have to add the D-line getting to the quarterback. Maybe not a bunch of sacks, but quarterback hurries.
Yeah.
So you're making the quarterback throw the ball, bad balls, speed up his process. He's trying to wait on that dig route, that crossing route with the receiver, and it's taking too long. And the next thing you know, you have somebody coming off, Jordan Burch coming off the edge, getting the quarterback out of the pocket and trying to make a good throw, 20 yards down the field, and it's a bad throw, and you get a knockdown by the defensive backs. But Brandon, they're all good. All the whole secondary is playing good.
Yeah,
they're flying around, but they have a lot of help up front.
Big time. And then on the other side, at least on the offensive front, some more bad news. Transfer O-lineman Matthew Bedford. I know. Yeah, suffering an injury setback in the bye week. Dan Lanning said he basically dinged his knee in practice. Going to be doubtful today. Wondering, how much longer Oregon's going to be without him. Thank God for Nishad Strother, right? Thank God.
Yeah, it's the next guy, right?
Exactly. It's the next guy behind Cameron Pickard, actually. And Cam Pickard, unfortunately, was the first option, but thankfully Dan Lanning has found some stabilization in the shot.
And you're right. And also talking about the injuries, some players it's one of those years that you just can't stay healthy. You're always getting dinged up. And it's kind of like unlucky. You're around the pile, or during practice, someone falls on the back of your leg. You don't even see him. The guy gets thrown down. Things and linemen, it happens to them all the time.
Yep.
I mean, because they're around the pile, they're standing up, they're trying to sustain their blocks, and guys are flying into their legs. So it's tough on them. It's tough on him. I mean, he wants to play so bad, and we all want to watch him play.
Of course,
because he's a dude.
Make the line that much better.
Yes, I know. And, maybe down the road, it's going to help because he's going to be healthy, right? He's not going to be tired.
Yeah, kind of like that mid-season trade acquisition you hear about sometimes.
Yes. That might be a good thing.
No, that's true. Yeah, maybe you'll get a boost in the arm later in the season from Matthew Bedford. But no Bedford for UCLA today. For the Bruins, Deshaun Foster revealing Kane Clark and D-back Keanu Williams suffering season-ending injuries in their loss to the Tigers. So they obviously going to be without them for the rest of the year. We got to move along, though. Coming up, Anthony and I are going to give you our lock of the week from the Week 4 college football slate. But first, it's time for Ducks Game Day Weather. It's every 10 minutes, brought to you by Victorico's Mexican Food. Order Victorico's for your game day celebration in-store or online for pickup or delivery at victoricos.com. Here's Jeff Rust.
Actually, right now, it's just time for a break.
Oh, it's just time for a break?
Yeah,
My bad.
We'll go roll that.
All right, let's roll that. We'll be right back with our lock of the week here on 1080 The Fan.
Don't let the game play you. Sports betting is popular among Oregonians, and those who bet on sports are at an increased risk of developing a gambling problem. If you choose to gamble, do so responsibly by starting with a plan. Gamble for entertainment only and not to make money or recoup losses. Problem gambling is preventable. Remember to set limits, avoid drinking alcohol while gambling, and gamble for entertainment only. Learn more at opgr.org or call 1-877-MY-LIMIT. This message is brought to you by the VOA Oregon and the Multnomah County Behavioral Health Division.
This is the story of the one. As a facility technician installing a new welding station, he knows getting the ventilation right is critical for safety. That's why when questions arise, there's Grainger. Grainger offers detailed technical product information online at his fingertips, so it's easy to find what he needs. Because when it comes to safety, having answers means he and his people can breathe a little easier. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Life insurance. Why are you putting it off? Can't afford it? Too much hassle? Think you don't need it? There's lots of excuses for putting off life insurance. But if you weren't there, who would pay the mortgage and other bills? With Ethos, you could be covered in 10 minutes and boom, family protected. Ethos, fast and easy online term life insurance. Up to $2 million in coverage with no medical exam. Some policies as low as $1 a day. Answer a few health questions and get your free quote at getethos.com. That's getethos.com.
What's better than watching your team win? Winning money while you do it. I'm Jim Costa, and on Cash the Ticket, Mike Valeni and I give you the edge to make every game playable. College football, NFL, we're breaking it all down game by game. Your podcast feed is going to be filled, and you're going to love it. You can click on the games you care about. We do it all. With our analysis, we're finding games that other people aren't talking about. We're turning every Saturday and every Sunday into days where you got a chance to win. Don't just sit on the sidelines. Cash the Ticket with us. Follow Cash the Ticket in the free Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcasts.
It's time for our intrepid hosts to give you their lock of the week in college football.
If I were a more serious college football gambler, I would have locked this in earlier.
The Legends Casino Hotel Lock of the Week. Brought to you by Legends Casino Hotel in Toppenish. Legends Casino Hotel, within winning distance.
All right, let's give you our lock of the week. I found a really tasty one in college football. Anthony, I don't know if you saw a line that you maybe thought was going to be like totally proven wrong, or if there was going to be a game with a complete blowout that stuck out to you on the college football schedule at all.
No, nothing. What did you find?
I've got a really good one. Later on tonight, coming up with Washington State and Boise State. Might be a little bit of a stretch, but like my sports pants got really tight when I saw this on the schedule. So we got some future conference brethren matching up against each other, which I love, but also two of the better players in college football on both of their rosters, in my opinion. Of course, with Boise State, you got Ashton Jeanty, their running back, and quarterback John Mateer for the Washington State Cougars. After his performance last week, I mean, I think he should at least like be in the Heisman conversation.
There's no doubt.
Not necessarily like at the top, but
he's
in there.
He's in the top three, top four.
You got to put him in there. Yeah. I'm convinced after that performance that they can cover the 6.5 point spread against the Broncos. Like I know that's a trap line. The 6.5 is always like a really testy one. Because you think like, a couple of field goals, or if a touchdown without an extra point happens, that's possible. But obviously that 6.5 line, it's a little bit of a trap. But I saw that on the schedule, and I was just like, oh my God, I think I got to put a couple of units on that. So I did. I actually parlayed that with a couple of Jeanty touchdowns. So I'm hoping that pans out today. That's the one that I was picking as far as my lock of the week. Our lock of the week, by the way, brought to you by Legends Casino Hotel in Toppenish. Legends Casino Hotel, within winning distance. All right, coming up next, it's our Audi Wilsonville keys to the game. But first, we got Ducks game day weather every 10 minutes. Right, Jeff? Like I am getting this correct this time?
Yeah, we got it right this time.
Just making sure. All right. Brought to you by Victoricos Mexican Food. Order Victoricos for your game day celebration in-store or online for pickup or delivery at victoricos.com. Here's Jeff Rust.
All right, you're forgiven, Jordan. It's all good. It is 73 and sunny here in Portland. Ducks game day forecast calls for increasing clouds throughout the afternoon and evening, looking at a low of 50. Tomorrow, mostly sunny, high of 69. For tonight's 8 o'clock kick in Pasadena, clear skies, 68 degrees with very little wind. I'm Jeff Rust with Ducks game day weather every 10 minutes, brought to you by Victoricos Mexican Food.
Duck fans, game day is here, and you need fuel to cheer on Oregon. Hey, it's Dusty, and at Victorico's Mexican Food, we know the game doesn't wait, so neither should you. Swing by before kickoff for
The game. A look at the players and units that have to have a big day for the Ducks. Brought to you on The Fan by Audi Wilsonville. Offering unmatched service to help you find the perfect car. Online at AudiWilsonville.com.
All right, some things Oregon needs to do correctly today against UCLA. Now, they are favored by a ton. It was like 24.5 at one point, 25, 26 points.
I saw 25.5 most of the week, I think.
Yeah, there you go. Oregon is favored to win. But, of course, they are coming off a bye week. So, Anthony, my first key to the game is that we need to see Oregon play a full four-quarter matchup against UCLA. A 60-minute game. They cannot give the Bruins any thoughts in their mind that they can compete with Oregon from the start. Oregon needs to roll, and the discipline for all four quarters needs to be at critical mass.
I like that. That's really good. Be consistent in those four quarters and finish the game.
Yeah.
Start off strong and finish the game. My number one is for the Oregon offense to run the football. Because if you establish the running game, you can throw it all over the place. UCLA is giving up almost 300 yards passing per game. They're struggling in the back end. But you have to run the ball first. Also, now the UCLA starts bringing up safeties in the box near the linebackers to stop the run.
Yeah.
And now you got one-on-one against, some very good receivers for Oregon. Is Tez Johnson one-on-one? Now, that's a good matchup. I'll take that all day long.
Yeah, and actually to add to that, Dylan Gabriel, I want to see some big runs from him too, right?
Oh, yes, exactly. A running quarterback?
Yes.
Man, that's hard to defend.
I know.
I think big two is also UCLA hasn't run the ball for squat this whole season, so we got to make sure they keep that pattern going.
That's the second thing. Oregon has to stop the running game, and they should, okay? So make them one-dimensional. They're going to have to throw the ball every down. If you stop the running game, UCLA's leading rusher has 73 yards. 70 in 4 games?
Or 3 games.
3 games.
3 games.
73 yards.
On 28 carries.
2.6. What are we doing?
Like they don't like to run the ball.
Come on.
I'm kidding, obviously.
Well, you got
your head coach is a running back. And you got Eric sleeping with Bieniemy.
That's what I said. That's why I was asking James,
Oh my God.
Hey, what's going on with this UCLA's offense?
Yeah.
You guys, yeah. So
Well, if you put all the pressure on Ethan Garbers essentially without a running game to establish the passing game, you see what happens against Indiana for UCLA, right?
Exactly.
Great point there, Anthony. Both run the ball and to defend the run very well. Do not let UCLA get established with that. My second key to the game is control the clock as well. I want them to win time of possession, something that I saw Oregon State do really well last week. In their game when Oregon didn't play was hold on to the dang ball for like 40 minutes.
Yeah.
And they did that while running most of the game with their two running backs in Hankerson and Jam Griffin. I think that Oregon can have a very similar roadmap to success with the way they run the ball. And against a team like UCLA, once again, you can't let them have any shot in their minds, any faith that they're going to do anything. You got like those scripted series, like anything like happening that's like a special trick play or crazy. You don't even want to give them hope. So one way to do that is obviously to manage the clock, run the ball, and milk that clock and hold it as long as you can.
If you run the ball, play action, it works. You can get a lot of one-on-one matchups. You got safeties flying up for the run. You have linebackers flying up for the run. And then you have Terrence Ferguson. He's the tight end, looks like he's going to block, and then he's going to release on a pass. That's a nightmare for a tight end because the tight end is getting a run read. You know, with the RPOs nowadays, this is run. I mean, half the time there's linemen running downfield and they're still throwing the football and they don't call it. So you get away with that stuff. So run the football and the play action will happen. And you're right, control the clock. But you control the clock by running the football. You know, when you run the football, the clock doesn't stop. When you throw passes and they are incomplete, they go out of bounds, now the clock stops. So.
Yeah, no, that's a great point, too. No turnovers either. I feel like if you do turn the ball over, it's going to be a little bit closer than you want it to be for Oregon. So, yeah, you really got to see them playing, I would say, a very similar game like they did against Oregon State and just winning in all facets of the game and winning by a lot. So, those are our Audi Wilsonville keys to the game. Audi Wilsonville offers unmatched service to help you find the perfect car online at AudiWilsonville.com. Jeff Russ chiming in there as well. Really good stuff, guys. I think we all know that Oregon's going to win, but there are some things that could go, wrong and maybe spell some trouble for them. I really don't want this to have to be another prove-it game. I just don't.
No, they have to execute. And like you said, for 4 quarters.
Exactly.
Execute for 4. Don't give a lot of hope for UCLA in the first half, and in the third quarter, they're in a ball game. You don't want to see that.
Elite teams compete for 60 minutes. That's just what they do. That's what Georgia does. That's what Alabama under Nick Saban has done, and you hope that's what Dan Lanning and Oregon can become. All right, coming up, we're going to dive into what else is happening around the Big Ten today. We'll also take a look at a couple of other intriguing matchups. I believe at least half the conference is already finished up. But first, we got to get to another Ducks Game Day weather report. It's every 10 minutes, brought to you by Victor Rico's Mexican Food. Order Victor Rico's for your Game Day celebration in-store or online for pickup or delivery at victorricos.com. Here's Jeff Rust.
73 and sunny currently here in Portland. Ducks Game Day forecast calls for increasing clouds throughout the afternoon and evening. Look at a low at 50 degrees. Tomorrow, mostly sunny, high of 69. For tonight's 8 o'clock kick in Pasadena, clear skies, 68 degrees, and very little wind. I'm Jeff Russ with Ducks Game Day weather every 10 minutes, brought to you by Victor Rico's Mexican Food.
It's time to take a look at this big, beautiful coast-to-coast conference.
4 Big Ten teams, they will benefit. I can't wait for it.
This is the Big Ten Preview. A look at the conference schedule on the Odyssey app. And your home for Oregon Ducks football. 1080, The Fan.
All right, let's take a look around the Big Ten at some of the intriguing conference matchups. Of course, Anthony, the Ducks, one of 6 ranked teams in the top 25 out of the Big Ten. Of course, Ohio State up there in the top 3, and Oregon sitting at 8. Penn State at 9. 12th ranked Michigan, 13th ranked USC, and number 19, the Illinois Fighting Illini. Rest in peace to my grandpa. That is his alma mater. Yep. So I love to see Illinois in any kind of sport, whether it be football or basketball, competing in the top 25. And hey, now they're a conference member.
But where's
the Ducks?
Where's Indiana?
Where's Indiana?
They're 5-0, right?
Yeah, they are still not ranked. As of today, Indiana,
5-0.
who did get the win over
Yes.
Maryland, 42-28,
Where is
by the
Indiana?
way.
They're 5-0.
No, they're kicking some butt. You are not wrong. I am surprised that maybe I don't know, maybe it's just because like they beat UCLA earlier in the season, so people just don't think they've like played anybody. I don't know.
That's strange because I watched them play today. They can play. They have a good running game.
They are the second next team receiving votes. So Washington State is like basically 26 and Indiana 27 this week.
Yeah.
So it's like Boise State, Washington State, Indiana right now. Wow. Gosh. All right. Yeah, their quarterback too. Curtis Rourke had a really good day for the Hoosiers. 22 of 33, 359 yards and 3 tutties.
Yep.
Already completed as well. Nebraska over Purdue 28-10. Dylan Raiola looking all right. 244 yards and a 257 yards and a touchdown. Pretty easy win for them over Purdue. Matt Rule turning Nebraska around, so it seems. I don't know if it's more Matt Rule or if it's Dylan Raiola, but they're actually winning games, the Cornhuskers are. Go ahead,
but that's Purdue.
Well,
they beat Purdue.
It's the Boilermakers.
Matt Rule does have a pretty good track record,
he
though,
does.
too. Yeah.
That's fair to mention as well. That's right, Jeff Rust. Already completed today as well. Michigan survives against Minnesota 27-24. Bit of a late scare. You thought that could have gone the other way until Minnesota actually was able to put up 3 touchdowns in the fourth quarter alone, but until Michigan hit that last second go-ahead field goal, it was like, okay, we're good. But wow, Michigan having some questions so far this year, already 4-1. You wonder if this is going to be a similar look to what that game against Oregon's going to be like here in a few weeks.
I don't know. It's hard to tell what type of team they are. They're up and down. You're right. They're 4-1, but they don't. I don't know. If I was a Michigan fan, I'd be like, this team is good, but they have their struggles.
Well, they can't throw. They still can't throw. Alex Orji isn't a quarterback.
You're right.
If you don't have a quarterback and you literally can only run the ball, like how can you actually go undefeated?
Yeah, all they want to do is try to beat you with their defense and control the clock.
I know.
They're Iowa 2.0 right now, it seems.
Yes.
Pretty crazy. So those are the games already completed in the Big Ten. A couple of games in progress right now. Just getting going a few minutes ago, number 3 Ohio State leads 3-0 over Michigan State. That one's still in the first quarter. Will Howard 7 of 7, 66 yards. So looks like Ohio State at least offensively moving the ball along there. The Fighting Illini, number 19 against Penn State, facing off against Penn State ranked number 9. Scoreless right now with 10 minutes to go in the first.
I got another one though.
Yeah.
Last night, right? Last night, Rutgers over Washington.
Oh, I was getting to that.
Oh,
baby.
were you?
Oh, I was getting that was going to be the wrap up of the segment.
Okay,
no,
thank you, because I'm about to get on that one now.
No, I appreciate you.
Such a shame.
What am I going to forget about Washington?
Thank you.
No.
I knew you could.
Of course not.
I'm
doo-doo also.
Hey,
Exactly.
they are doo-doo also. All right.
I was jumping at the bit. I was like, whoa, get this one.
No, I was about to give the final score that I was going to report of the Big Ten conference happenings this weekend was, of course, the Friday night unbelievable, ridiculous upset of Rutgers beating Washington 21-18. Oh my goodness. That running back for Rutgers.
Oh, I know.
Yes, please. And Will Rogers, even though he threw for over 300 yards and 2 tutties, that didn't seem to matter. Washington was not able to score outside of that. And that's pretty frustrating when you can basically get almost nothing going until the second half. And when you're playing from like behind against a team that you are facing off against I don't know, for the first time in years. I don't know if they've ever played them in their history. It's more than no more than 5 times.
Exactly. I know the Big Ten people are saying, "Welcome to the Big Ten, Washington," because you got beat by Rutgers and they can't beat anybody yet. They're 4-0. They're 4-0.
Yeah.
So, you got some teams that can play in the Big Ten now.
Could you imagine like Rutgers now slipping up into the rankings?
That's what I'm
as well?
saying.
Like,
Indiana and Rutgers, come on.
Let's go.
Let's go, Big Ten.
Looks like last night was their 3rd all-time matchup.
Thank you.
And
So,
Washington's
no
first loss.
No more than 5 times. When was the last time they played?
Let's see here.
1942?
Yeah, exactly. You know nothing about this team.
Looks like 2017.
Okay. Oh, wow.
Oh, wow.
I think Greg Schiano might have actually been there.
They played back-to-back years, 2016 and 2017.
What a random stat.
Home and away.
So they never played until an agreement. Okay, so there you go. But the very, very stunning upset, Rutgers Scarlet Knights over the Washington Huskies 21-18, and that marks Washington's second loss of the season, their first one in the Big Ten Conference. Pretty crazy. And yeah, Rutgers is 4-0, so we might see them moving up to the top 25 as well.
I do remember coming into the season, people looked at Rutgers as somebody that could have a hot start, mainly strictly because of their schedule, and saying, don't be surprised if they start out 5-0, 6-0.
Oh, okay.
I know Washington's not elite, but Will Rogers ain't nothing to sneeze at, right? I guess their defense just can't hold it down up there in Husky land anymore. They don't want to hear me say that, but it's the truth.
But it is true. I mean, it is. Seriously. Everybody took off. And that's the problem.
Jabbar Muhammad? Yeah. Coming to Oregon. Yes, exactly. Yes, they did.
There they go. Too many guys take off and not enough guys coming back in.
All right, coming up next, we've got to get to the Unitas Community Credit Union Coach's Corner. That is, of course, the conversation that Oregon coach Dan Lanning had with Isaac and Suk on primetime earlier this week. Hear what Coach Lanning had to say to the guys about this matchup with the UCLA Bruins coming up tonight, 8 p.m., right here on 1080 The Fan. And you're listening to Ducks Game Day here with Schultze and Anthony Newman. Jeff Rust running all the switches here. We'll be right back on 1080 The Fan.
Chill. Celebrate responsibly. It's time for the Unitas Community Credit Union Coach's Corner. Comments from Oregon coach Dan Lanning with Isaac and Sue. Brought to you by Unitas Community Credit Union. Join the team at Unitas Community Credit Union to help you reach your financial goals.
Oregon's a unique school in the sense that it becomes a school that a lot of kids consider their dream school, but they might be thousands of miles away. A great example of how the brand resonates throughout the United States.
The Ducks Coach's Corner with Isaac and Suk on the Odyssey app and 1080 The Fan.
It's funny you mentioned the road environment. Always people talk about like going on the road so tough, and look, there's challenges. But as a player, I remember when we got to do Notre Dame and played at Bama. Dude, I love. There's something great. You feel like a gladiator. Like when you go in and you can silence a crowd and like 90,000 people.
Coolest feeling ever. Yeah,
dude. It's almost in some ways. While it's harder to play because of the noise and all that and audibles. I think it's a better feeling to win on the road at times than winning at home.
Oh, there's no better feeling in the world than going to somebody else's,
house and saying, you know what, I'm going to cook on your grill. Why don't you just back up? I'm cooking on your grill. We're going to make you guys quiet. Like, that's a great.
Now, the kickoff is at 8. What will you do all day?
Perfect, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Ideal.
That we get to like watch games all day and then get to play a little football. I mean, that's something we're excited for. So what will we do? We'll get a nice breakfast in. We get a little lift in. We call it a primer. We'll get a little primer lift in. Midday. Get a chance to relax in the room, make sure that our bodies are ready, and a little walkthrough. It'll be an eventful day. It'll be a great day.
We'll get you out of here on this one. What's UCLA bringing to the table? What do you see on film?
Yeah, I think they've shown they're a team that can play with anyone. You know, they had a lot of success in the first half there last week versus LSU. I think they provide a lot of tough looks, on both sides of the ball. Obviously really well coached. Coach Bieniemy on offense has done a really good job changing it up. You see some of the wrinkles that he's brought from the NFL. On defense, they stem and move, and they're really aggressive. So they provide some unique challenges for sure. So it'll be fun for our guys to go out there and try to execute.
All right, have a good trip, and good luck to you guys down in LA.
All right, appreciate it. Thanks for the fake applause too.
Yeah, you're welcome. Those are real.
Yeah, all right, you guys have a good one.
See
All
ya.
right, have a good one.
Bye.
It is 73 and sunny here in Portland. Ducks game day forecast calls for increasing clouds throughout the afternoon and evening, looking at a low of 50. Tomorrow, mostly sunny, a high of 69. Tonight's 8 o'clock kick in Pasadena. Clear skies, 68 degrees, very little wind. I'm Jeff Rust with Ducks game day weather every 10 minutes, brought to you by Victor Rico's Mexican Food. Order Victor Rico's Mexican Food for your game day celebration in-store or online for pickup or delivery at victorricos.com.
Looking for a better primary care experience? Welcome to Zoom Care. Zoom Care is here for more than urgent needs. We can be your PCP too. Our primary care team has grown and is currently accepting new patients. Don't wait for the care you need. You can have your first visit with one of our many providers within 48 hours. And we take most insurances. Why wait weeks for an appointment when you can be seen today? Learn more about establishing primary care at zoomcare.com. Zoom Care.
Huge recruiting news this week for the Oregon Ducks. It kind of makes this segment really easy for Andrew Nemec to come on and let us know what's happening. Andrew, of course, the host of Recruiting with Andrew Nemec here on 1080 The Fan. What is up, brother? Appreciate your time. Let's get right into the huge commitment that Oregon scored this week when five-star offensive lineman Douglas Utu flipped from Tennessee to the Ducks. What does this mean for Oregon's 2025 class as well as the future of the offensive line?
Well, it feels like not that long ago we were talking about both issues on the field with the offensive line in those first couple weeks and off the field in recruiting. And the fact was Oregon hadn't really landed a dynamic offensive line recruit since Josh Connerly Jr. That one's chalked up to Adrian Clem. Alik Terry seems to be fixing things on the field, and Oregon seems to be fixing things on the recruiting trail. They flipped Douglas Utu from Tennessee, the 5-star offensive lineman out of Bishop Gorman, an absolutely huge get for the program. He's a 5-star on Rivals. He's a 5-star on ESPN. He's an extremely high 4-star on the other 2 recruiting sites, and it builds a pipeline to Bishop Gorman, probably one of the top 5 high schools in America.
Yeah, so that Utu commitment, it's basically the second, I think, big flip that Oregon's had in recent weeks. It seems like they've been able to do that, kind of slip in at the last minute with now 4 or 5-star guys and slip them away from big schools. Is that kind of like just Dan Lanning's relentless approach when it comes to recruiting, or just like his talent, or maybe both? Like, I'm not sure how to pinpoint that.
I think until things are signed, anything is possible. And we've seen that with most of Dan Lanning's classes. You know, during the bye week, they went and visited Noah McHale at Bonita High School in California. He's one of the top linebackers in the country. He's committed to Texas A&M. That was a battle Oregon lost. And then during the bye week, there's the Oregon coaching staff at Bonita High School taking pictures with the linebacker coach from the high school. And what's great about that is it goes online, and it's not the head coach where you kind of wonder, well, maybe there's another teammate. No. Here, let's take a picture with the linebacker coach. We're leaving up nothing to chance here. We're letting everyone know. Oh, no. We are here for Noah. So that's cool to see. What's interesting is the next iteration of potential flips might come at quarterback with a kid from Hawaii who on Friday night broke Dylan Gabriel's all-time passing record in Hawaii. His name is Jaren Songapolutele. We had him on the show on Thursday. He picked up an offer from Oregon. He grew up, and this is how long Dylan Gabriel's been in college, I guess. He said he grew up watching Dylan. Now, he means that saying he was in junior high. Obviously, Dylan was in high school in Hawaii, but he grew up emulating Dylan Gabriel. He's jumped up from an unranked kid to the number 20 quarterback in the nation. He went to the Elite 11 finals as basically the most unheralded of the group. He actually finished in the top 11 and officially made the Elite 11. Greg Biggins recently wrote a scouting report on him and said he has maybe the biggest arm in the country and also the best deep ball in the country and throws with touch. He picked up that offer from Oregon and wants to visit. Said his favorite 2 quarterbacks growing up are Marcus Mariota and Dylan Gabriel. He's also a left-handed quarterback from Hawaii. So there's a lot to like there. This is a kid who in the last 6 months has been performing like one of the top 5, 6, 7 quarterbacks in America. He's committed to Cal. There are a bunch of schools after him. Notre Dame has moved him way up their board. Oregon's obviously offered, but keep your spatulas out because Oregon, it seems, is not done flipping.
I'm excited. Yeah, the 2025 quarterback class, it seems Oregon, I heard Will Stein still really making it a priority in this recruiting cycle to add a second quarterback to that class. So hopefully they can accomplish it. He had committed to the Bears over like Boise State and Oregon State. And now, yeah, you're right, Andrew, all these big name schools are in the discussion now. Hopefully Oregon can win out. Final question, though, simple one. What's your prediction for Oregon v. UCLA today, my friend?
We will see Dante Moore in an Oregon uniform shortly before midnight. How about that? On the field, not on the sideline. I think Oregon wins big. I think I said 55-20 on my radio show on Thursday. I think I'm going to stick with that. We'll say 55-20. Big game for Evan Stewart. It feels like he's due for one of those 100-yard, maybe a touchdown or 2 type of game. And then Jordan James, if they give him the rock quite a bit, should be able to have a 100-yard night. So I think Evan Stewart could have a breakout performance this week.
Can't disagree with anything you just said. I hope it all happens. I think it's going to happen too, Andrew. Recruiting with Andrew Nemec's host. Really appreciate you taking the time to come on with us, brother. Thank you.
Of course.
All right, have a good weekend. Enjoy watching the Ducks hopefully get a massive, massive win over the UCLA Bruins tonight. All right, coming up next, we're going to take a look at the defensive side of the ball for Oregon. I know that's Anthony's bread and butter, what they're going to have to do to contain Ethan Garbers and the Bruins' talented wide receivers. But first, though, got to get to another Ducks Game Day weather report. It's every 10 minutes, brought to you by Victorico's Mexican Food. Order Victorico's for your Game Day celebration in-store or online, or for pickup and delivery at victoricos.com. Here's Jeff Rust.
It is 73, partly cloudy here in Portland. Ducks game day forecast calls for increasing clouds throughout the afternoon and evening, looking at a low of 50. Tomorrow, mostly sunny with a high of 69. For the 8 o'clock kick in Pasadena tonight, clear skies 68 with very little wind. I'm Jeff Rust with Ducks Game Day weather every 10 minutes, brought to you by Victor Rico's Mexican Food.
Your home for Oregon Ducks football is KFXX KWJJ HD2 Portland.
Go to the house!
1080 The Fan, an Odyssey sports station. Ducks Game Day continues.
Second down at about 15. Here's the key. Turn it up. Nice run. Gabriel's got her own 30. Down the side 20. A block. Inside the 5. Touchdown. Dylan Gabriel. All of a sudden, the running quarterback shows us he can run.
Coors Light presents Ducks Game Day, an insider's preview of today's game between the Oregon Ducks and the UCLA Bruins. Oregon Ducks football on 1080 The Fan is brought to you by Coors Light, Pacific Office Automation, Mods BDX, Victor Rico's Mexican Food, Legends Casino Hotel in Toppenish, by Zoom Care, Bellagio's Pizza, Multnomah County Behavioral Health Division, Audi Wilsonville, Laurelhurst Market, by Unitas Community Credit Union, and by Langdon Farms Golf Club. Now, here are your hosts, Jordan Schultz, Dusty Hara, and former Ducks and NFL star Anthony Newman, with Ducks Game Day on the Odyssey app and 1080 The Fan.
What is up, sports fans? We begin the second hour of Ducks Game Day on 1080 The Fan, presented by Coors Light. Mountain cold refreshment. Choose chill. Celebrate responsibly, and hopefully Oregon fans will be celebrating a big win tonight. I would say the Ducks, welcome in, by the way, to hour 2 of Ducks Game Day. Schultz in with Anthony Newman. Dirt away on special assignment at a wedding, I believe, this weekend.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so I have to hold down the fort. I'm happy to be here. Love doing this.
Doing a great job, by the way.
Good to have you.
I appreciate you guys. Every time I get the chance to get on the mic, my sports pants get tight.
Got to jump on that, man. Got to jump on that.
Jump on that mic. Appreciate it. Jeff Rust behind the glass, handling all the weather reports and keeping the show moving. But Oregon, number 8 in the country, facing, I'm not trying to say that UCLA is a grandiose opponent here, but they are facing their biggest test of the season in the UCLA Bruins so far, right? In their Week 5 matchup with UCLA. So far, I mean, it's not like they've seen elite opponents, but you've got a quarterback that's got some athleticism. Yeah. He actually has some receivers to throw to, unlike Oregon State. So I do feel like there are some complete pieces of talent on the other side that Oregon does have to worry about. I've heard a lot of guys talking in interviews this week for Oregon, Anthony, talking about the cage and containing Ethan Garber's in that cage. He gets sacked a lot, though. His rushing numbers aren't great, but he can break away for a 20-yard gain, and that kind of forces the defense to spy on him most of the game, right?
That's always kind of crazy when you have a quarterback that can scramble by time in the back end so he can throw the ball. And you can't cover receivers for over 6 seconds, 5 seconds, really 4 seconds, to be honest. Here's what UCLA's problem is, though. There's no running game, and we talked about that earlier. They can't establish the running game, so there's no play action. So the linebackers and safeties are not coming up to stop the run. So for Oregon, they have one guy who can stop the run, and he's playing it's like a D tackle / nose tackle, Derek Harmon.
Oh, my goodness.
Number 55. Here's a stat. He has 13 tackles on the year. There is no nose tackle. Guys play. This guy is getting double teamed all the time.
Those are usually the guys that clog it up to let other people make plays.
Exactly. They just take up space. They don't get tackles. You never ask your nose tackle to get a tackle.
No.
You said just create the double teams. He has 13. It is unreal. His first step. Watch him closely. Watch how quick he is for 320 pounds. He is just explosive. So now he's giving that center or that guard issues when they're trying to block him. And if there is a double team, he's splitting the double teams. So he's doing great. On the back, and let's go back to the linebackers. A great group. There's a ton of linebackers that can play for Oregon, and they rotate them. If you notice that, how they rotate the linebackers, which is great. Yeah. They have different packages. So I like how they're playing. They're stopping and running. Bryce is sideline to sideline. Boss is also sideline to sideline. He's been nicked up a little bit. But go back to the secondary. Okay, the secondary is working well with the front end because the front end is creating quarterbacks to scramble and throw the football. Now, Ethan can run. UCLA's quarterback, he can go a little bit. So you may have a spy on him and maybe not. I think with the edge rushers of Oregon, guys on the outside, Jordan Birch, I think they're fast enough to control if he scrambles. Sometimes if you don't have that explosive, fast defensive end guy, you have a linebacker to help out a little bit. Ethan is not a fast quarterback, but he's good enough to get away. That when you watch him play. So the secondary has to step up and make plays in the back end, which they lead the nation, I think, in pass breakups. I mean, UCLA, they have 6 pass breakups on defense. Oregon has 22. 22 pass
Love that
breakups.
discrepancy.
Oh, yeah. So you see Oregon DBs and linebackers and even D linemen getting their hands up, knocking the ball down.
Well, and you talk about Garbers needing time to throw. He hasn't really gotten it much. I think he's been sacked like 8 times already this year.
Yes, I forgot about that. Yep.
Yeah, 8 times. He's thrown more interceptions than touchdown passes. 4 to 3, I believe, is what that stat is.
Correct.
He's only completed like 60% of his throws. Yeah, so he's got the experience, but his offensive line ain't that great, and he's not getting the time to throw. And obviously, with a terrible offensive line, the Bruins' rushing offense sitting right now at the 3rd worst in the country, putting up just 60 yards a game.
Correct.
So that's not going to be a factor against Oregon's massive front 7. Of course, Matayo Uyunglele and Tuioti also having a ton of success either.
Yeah.
Cannot forget those guys.
I dealt with him at Sheldon. Oh, my Lord.
I'm sure he gave you havoc.
That Sam Levitt, quarterback who's starting at UCLA.
Yeah.
I mean, excuse me, at Arizona State.
Yeah.
Create havoc for him. So, yeah, he can come off the edge, and he's quick enough, to deal with fast quarterbacks.
So I guess if UCLA can get anything done today, it's going to be their playmakers getting in space, right? They're going to have to try to find an opening and take advantage of either a misread or a misplay on the defense, or maybe some struggles or just some communication not working. Do you see that happening for UCLA at all today? Because Oregon State, at least in the first half, was able to do that a little bit against Oregon.
Tosh Lapoy is telling the secondary for Oregon, don't give up the explosion plays. If they have to earn, their yards, they'll make a mistake. They got to have a 12-play drive. They can't sustain a 12-play drive. They're not good enough.
Yeah.
They're going to make a mistake. They don't have enough dudes on that football team to do that. But if you give up an explosion play for a touchdown, a 60-yard bomb, or missed coverage, you thought you had the tight end, but you have the slot receiver, and there's confusion in the back end, that's how they're going to get their big play. But they're not going to drive down the field consistently for 4 quarters and keep scoring points. That's not going to happen. They don't have enough dudes trying to learn the offense. Everybody's new. There's no way.
Yeah, Maliki Monteville, former Duck, he's their starting tight end. Rico Flores, Michael Sturtevant are their wide receivers. TJ Harden adds to the passing game because he's not running, so he'll run around out of the backfield. And the Bruins, because of that, are passing, I believe, at like a 60% clip as compared to 41% last season. And that would go to A, I don't think you have a talented offensive line for protection, and B, probably not as talented of a guy throwing the ball as Dante Moore. So you're kind of forced into throwing the ball more. I feel like it's like a catch-22 there.
Well, and also the 33% on third down. They're not converting. They get to third down, and punt team. Now the defense has to come back on the field. Their defense is playing too much.
Yeah.
That's what's going on.
Oh, yeah.
Been there, done that.
Yeah, absolutely.
No,
and that's
not good.
And that's one reason why I want Oregon to manage the game on offense today and stay off the field, or at least keep their defense off the field as much as possible. But really quickly, Anthony, to wrap it up, with that cage that I heard players talking about earlier this week, it was linebacker Devin Jackson told Oregon Live, we got to keep Garbers in the cage and do what we got to do on defense. We can't let him run and let him go around all day. Keep him contained. I think I heard you say on one of your shows earlier this week, relentless pursuit, or just all 11 guys to the ball. And I'm wondering if that's going to really be the mentality here, not necessarily like at the running back, but we're not fighting a good rushing attack, but you've just got to find the guy with the ball, and it's relentless pursuit. Right?
Yeah, it is pursuit to the football. But when you're talking about the quarterback in the cage, it's more like controlled rush.
Okay.
You don't want to go out of control, and all of a sudden now he gets free and he gets to the outside, and now he's buying time for his receivers down the field to run a crazy route. Now you're running schoolyard routes. You're not running regular routes. So you can't defend a schoolyard route. You can't defend a route that you just drew up, on the ground. Say, okay, you're going to go here to this rock, and then you run to that tree, and then you turn around and you come over here to the school. You can't defend that. So if you keep him under control, make him throw the ball in the pocket, the secondary is better than the receivers. And then the pocket will collapse in time. And I'm going to be interested to see, do they blitz? Does Oregon blitz a lot in this game? They get after them a little bit. Keep them in the pocket and blitz and get after the quarterback with some linebackers or maybe a safety blitz.
Ooh, well, we're just
safety, maybe a corner blitz.
I
Cowboy. We call it cowboy.
Tosh Lepoy's got some tricks up his sleeve.
Oh,
So
yeah.
we're going to find out exactly what that is or what those are coming up in just under 3 hours from now. Coming up, though, let's take a peek around the rest of the happenings around college football, give you some score updates. Oregon State actually on a bye week, but there are a couple of other teams, Washington State namely, in action later tonight and some big games happening right now. We'll get you updated on all that coming up next here on Ducks Game Day, a Schultze and Anthony Newman edition here on 1080 The Fan.
Day. Mountain cold refreshment. Choose chill. Celebrate responsibly.
Now going to go deep. Boys got him down there. Catch made. Keep your balance. Touchdown, Oregon.
It's time for the Ducks Game Day scoreboard with previews and scores from around the country on your home for Oregon Ducks football, the Odyssey app, and 1080 The Fan.
Well, Anthony, I'd be remiss if I did not mention what happened Friday night first. We already talked about it, but we'll go over it again. A huge game, at least with local implications anyways, as Rutgers gets the massive upset over Washington, 21-18. Kicker Grady Gross missing a 55-yard field goal to tie the game at the end of regulation. What a welcome to the Big Ten for the Huskies. Everybody cheer.
I know, isn't that great?
Yeah, just step on it, Huskies.
You should see my smile.
Go shove it.
I've got a big smile on my face.
Oh, the folks on YouTube can see it.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, we're both grinning. We got S-eating grins on our faces, and I'm absolutely okay with that. But yeah, Washington, not a great way to get into the Big Ten. Greg Schiano and Rutgers, congrats to them. Their running back really having a great performance last night. Will Rogers had a good performance too, but it just didn't matter for Washington because, no more than 2 touchdowns. Pretty crazy game overall. And then a couple of other big games on the schedule as well for Friday. First, or I guess one other big one. Number 7, Miami, barely surviving. I don't know if you saw this one against Virginia Tech, 38-34. That last-second Hail Mary being overturned after what felt like forever of a review. I was sitting in a bar like, are they ever going to make this call? No. Okay, finally. It was a good game. Cam Ward had 343 yards, 4 tutties. Had, I think, been down by 10 points with 12 minutes remaining and led them to that comeback win. Mario Cristobal now 5-0, but that was unquestionably their sloppiest game of this season.
Well, is Miami for real? You think are they back?
I mean, I like Miami's players. I don't like Miami's coach. I don't think that Mario Cristobal is good enough in game at adjusting. He doesn't bend. He is like the stick that will not do anything except break in half, and that means, you lost.
Yeah, let's face it. If there's anybody that can take down the Hurricanes this season, it's Mario.
Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, 5-0. What? Yeah, 5-0, aren't they? 5-0.
They are 5-0. But you talk about a team playing themselves every week. I feel like, especially with Mario Cristobal at the helm, that is a team playing themselves, Anthony.
Yeah, it's they have some dudes.
They do.
They have some dudes.
Oh, I love Miami's players. Just hate Mario.
Yeah, I like to see how this plays out. It's going to be interesting.
Yeah, I'm interested to see where it goes to. I love Cam Ward. He's obviously looking like a first-round draft pick in the NFL.
Yes, he is.
Like, he's the best quarterback in college football so far, statistically by far. Elsewhere in the top 25, happening right now, number 17, Clemson, leading Stanford with about 6 minutes to go. In the second quarter, 10-0. Looks like Klubnik having a decent day so far for Clemson. 127 yards, although he has thrown a pick. Iowa State, number 18 in the country, over Houston, 3-0 at this point. The big one, though, on the schedule, and my game to watch, as we'll get to coming up here in a few minutes. Number 4, Alabama, taking on number 2, Georgia right now. Yeah, you were mentioning, Anthony, and actually they just took a 14-0 lead, Alabama did, over Georgia. You were mentioning how surprised you were that they face off against each other this early in the season. But I do think now, in the world of a 12-team college football playoff, these early season losses don't necessarily matter as much, so teams aren't as scared. In fact, if I'm a good team, I want to test where my team is week 4, week 5 in the season, right?
That's a great point, because when you lose early in the season, you can look at those mistakes and correct those mistakes and move forward and understand, okay, this is why we lost. Now we have 6-7 more games to play. Hey, let's go.
And you got that chance to work your way back up.
Exactly right. Yes. Exactly right. Yeah.
I think I also saw, too, this is only the 5th time, I think, in the last 20 years that Alabama and Georgia have played each other in the regular season.
Yes, correct.
I like that. I mean, so we really are. You ask for, hey,
how often does that go with conference foes, where you go for the 5th time in 20 years?
Yeah.
That's a good point. And you ask for more excitement in college football. I believe this is how you get it, right?
True.
I think if that happens more and more with other teams, when the Miami, Florida State rivalry is happening earlier in the season, or if that kind of game is happening more and more, you're going to see these powerhouse games.
And I think
really,
that SEC schedule makers are used to kind of soft pedaling things to try to, keep their top end level teams at the top without having to have. Granted, you're going to have some tough matchups, but
they go through.
I think this is kind of a case in point.
No, I hear you.
5th time in 20 years.
Instead of Appalachian State, it's Alabama.
Yeah, why play Bicycle University? Who wants to watch that? You want to see Alabama play Georgia. That's what you want to watch.
Exactly.
This is excitement right here.
Yeah. Jalen Milroe, by the way, having a decent day. He already has 100 yards passing and a touchdown through the air as well as on the ground. I think he's rushed for 40 yards as well. So Milroe keeping himself in the Heisman conversation. Ohio State, 3rd ranked in the country, leads Michigan State, but it looks like Michigan State just scored. Aiden Childs just hit Jerron Glover for a 12-yard touchdown, so that'll be 10-7 with an extra point with 9.5 to go in the first half. 13 minutes to go in the first half. Number 19, Illinois, tied with number 9, Penn State, both Big Ten foes for the Ducks at 7 apiece. 14th ranked LSU over South Alabama right now in the first quarter, 14-0. Top ranked Texas beating Mississippi State 35-13. And of course, Notre Dame barely getting by Louisville. Number 16 Notre Dame beats 15th ranked Louisville 31-24. And an upset alert, number 23 Kansas State beating 20th ranked Oklahoma State 42-20. Those are the big games on the college football scoreboard today. Coming up later,
you want to hear a real fun one real quick first?
Oh, yeah, give it to me, Rusty.
The Hutchinson Community College Blue Dragons of Hutchinson, Kansas defeated Ellsworth Community College Panthers 99-0 today.
99?
99-0. And no, that is not a scoregami. That's now the 9th time that score has happened.
That's happened 9 times in college.
99-0.
Never.
Because that's never happened in the NFL ever. But 9 times, 99-0, 9 times in college football.
Maybe in high
9
school.
times.
Maybe in high school.
I could see that, yeah.
I've
But not
seen
college.
100.
College, that's crazy.
Well, and I guess we're talking community college here, too.
I don't think it matters.
yeah.
I don't think it matters. College football is college football, baby.
Somebody's getting fired as a defensive coordinator.
They better.
Right?
Whether it's FCS, FBS, or...
And maybe offensive coordinator, too.
Hey, just clear the whole team out. Let's go.
Yeah, really.
Gosh, get anybody else in there. That's pretty funny. And then one big game on the schedule tonight. My betting pick of the week is number 25 Boise State facing off against Washington State. 7 p.m. kick on FS1. Boise, a 6.5-point favorite, but I think Wazoo is covering that spread. I am a full-on John Mateer fan. All right, coming up next, we have got to get to Oregon's transition into the Big Ten. And Anthony, I want to ask you if you think it's different than the Pac-12 and maybe make the point to you why I don't think at this point the Big Ten and the Pac-12 and what Oregon's, the play style that Oregon's facing off against and what kind of teams Oregon are playing are really that different. So we'll get into that coming up next here on a Schultze and Anthony Newman edition of Ducks Game Day here on 1080 The Fan.
Presented by Coors Light, mountain cold refreshment. Choose chill. Celebrate responsibly.
Well, Georgia quarterback Carson Beck really trusts his teammates because he just threw a pick right to Alabama, not even checking his first read. He was dealing with a 7-man rush and just got attacked and threw it right to an Alabama defensive back. So they now have the ball again with a 14-0 lead against number 2 Georgia. Pretty crazy, Anthony.
Wild. Turnovers. These type of games, you can't turn the ball over. There's no way.
Nope. That's what we're saying about Oregon going into not only today's game, but as they get into the Big Ten as well. Elite teams keep a hold of the ball. They
Yes,
don't
you
make those
do.
mistakes.
Yes, no.
And Anthony, I wanted to ask you, we had a couple of minutes to discuss Oregon's transition from the Big Ten, or excuse me, from the Pac-12 into the Big Ten. I understand that scheme-wise, they obviously are not similar. You got the run the ball mentality. You got the big guys up front in the Big Ten. A lot of those guys go to the NFL. Traditionally, the Pac-12, spread offense, passes a lot more, produces a lot of quarterbacks, and then, yeah, it's just a lot different, of course, scheme-wise. But traditionally, of course, the Big Ten been, a run it down your throat type of play, tough defense kind of conference. I heard Joey Harrington, though, this week asking you why he maybe thinks that or if you thought that Oregon's transition into the Big Ten was going to be similar, at least at first, to what they were facing off in the Pac-12, because all these Big Ten schools, don't really play each other more or don't play every single team once a year. They sometimes have to go every other year, so you're not facing off against the toughest opponents in the conference. I do really feel like when you look at what the Pac-12 was compared to the Big Ten, there are only really a couple teams that are better, that are actually elite as compared to the old Pac-12. So you look at Oregon's schedule. How different really is it compared to last year? Of course, you have Ohio, you have Michigan State, you have Michigan, but there were good 3-4 big matchups on Oregon's calendar last year too. Is it similar to you? Is it vastly tougher? I feel like we're just not quite at the point where I've seen much of a difference yet between the two conferences.
Well, right now, when I look at the Big Ten and the Pac-12, the old Pac-12, there is a difference. Even though, the Big Ten would say, okay, yeah, we do have, the spread offense. But a lot of times, no, you don't. You're bringing two tight ends in the game, and you have the bigger running backs, and you have that fullback. You have those type of players. You have to understand this also. It's cold back there starting, maybe in October, mid-October, and November. You can't throw the ball all over the place.
It's true.
Okay, we're not going down to UCLA. We're not going down to in November. We're not going down to Arizona State. We're not going down to Arizona to play, and it's 80 degrees, 70 degrees. You got these little running backs, and you got all these receivers, and you can throw the ball all over the place. You can't do that in the Big Ten at third place. It's cold. It's freezing. The ball is hard as a rock, and you want to control the clock, win the football game. And so the type of play that they have in the Big Ten is a little different. It's different with Indiana. It's different with Minnesota. It's different with Wisconsin. It's a different game. Yet the Big Ten, they have spread offense. They're doing some spread. You see that. You don't have the receivers as dynamic to me compared to the Pac-12 receivers. But it is different. Yes, it is.
All right. I think I could take that answer. I'm sure we will see the differences coming up later in October, but especially the month of November. I didn't even think about the weather thing. That's a great point. Yeah, Oregon. Wonder how they'll fare. Wonder how some other warmer teams are used to playing in warmer climates like in Southern California are going to fare in the late months of the season as well. All right, coming up next, we got to get to our game to watch. It's a Schultze and Anthony Newman edition of Ducks Game Day here on Sports Radio 1080 The Fan.
folks are most interested in. Other than our game, of course.
Never a good look when your conference champion can't beat like an 8-4 team from the SEC.
This is the game to watch on your home for Ducks football, the Odyssey app, and 1080 The Fan.
A matchup between two SEC powerhouse with some playoff implications on the line. Georgia, number 2 in the country, currently losing to Alabama, number 4 in the country, 21-0 as we get just about to the end of the first quarter. Wow, Kalen DeBoer and the Alabama Crimson Tide are pouring it on. Carson Beck already has thrown a pick. Jalen Milroe having about a perfect day on the other side of the coin for Alabama. 7 of 7, 106 yards and a tutty through the air. 42 yards rushing and another tutty on the ground with a 16-yard long rush. I mean, they're looking great. Alabama looks prepared, and it'll be interesting to see this outcome at the end, how it impacts the SEC title race and the college football playoff picture. That is our game to watch. Alabama v. Georgia. Just about 52 seconds to go, in the first quarter. So we'll see if Georgia can do anything. They are now, according to live betting lines, an 18.5-point underdog. Oh, well, at least for today, Bulldogs, rest in peace. Coming up, let's check in with Joey Harrington and what he had to say yesterday to Isaac and Suk. Now, though, it's time for Ducks Game Day weather every 10 minutes, brought to you by Victorico's Mexican Food. Order Victorico's for your game day celebration in-store or online for pickup or delivery at victoricos.com. Here's Jeff Rust.
72, partly cloudy here in Portland. Ducks game day forecast calls for increasing clouds throughout the afternoon and evening, looking at a low of 50. Tomorrow, mostly sunny, a high of 69. For the 8 o'clock kick in Pasadena, clear skies, 68, very little wind. I'm Jeff Rust with Ducks game day weather every 10 minutes, brought to you by Victor Rico's Mexican Food.
Thanks for calling Discover. This
Oregon game because it gives me something to do when I used to have something to do. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it makes sense. And the West Coast teams will play in that time slot more, even though they've switched conferences, because that's part of why they wanted them, to own those late time slots. But that's awful late.
But it hasn't been, I don't know, maybe it just hasn't happened like that so far. Cal was playing Florida State earlier in the day. USC was playing Michigan earlier in the day. All those games, and then, Washington played Washington State earlier in the day. The Oregon played Oregon State earlier. Those games have not been in the late time slot for this season yet. Instead, you get the I don't want to say the also-ran, but you get the Mountain West teams, you get the BYU, and it's I don't really care about that.
Yeah, I think that maybe when we get into conference play now, we'll get more of that, particularly in the Big 12. Arizona schools, Utah, although they're not exactly West Coast, but you know what I mean. Maybe.
But a Utah, who's the furthest west? Utah, Colorado in a 7:30 time slot. I'd like that.
Yeah.
I'd like that.
All right, have a good weekend.
You too, buddy.
All right, that's Joey Harrington, courtesy of Mods PDX. The future of building is here.
Looking for an unforgettable escape this fall? Discover Legends Casino Hotel just a short
The players and units that match up well for the Ducks. Pacific Office Automation has your office game plan. Visit them today for a full technology assessment at pacificoffice.com.
All right, Anthony, which player has, or I guess I should really ask, what position does Oregon hold a superior matchup over UCLA at? And I would say that's an easy one. It would be the quarterback matchup, the player-quarterback comparison between Dylan Gabriel and Ethan Garbers. Dylan's stellar for Oregon, 914 yards, 6 touchdowns, no tutties. Garbers only throwing for 3 touchdowns and 4 interceptions. This is pretty much he's going to lose and Dylan Gabriel's going to win, right? This really isn't going to be like Ethan Garbers rising to the occasion over Dylan Gabriel, right?
There's no question. But I think we have to look at it with supporting cast involved.
Okay.
The offensive line for Oregon, the offensive line for Ethan. There's nothing there for UCLA. Okay. The offensive line, for, the receiver core for Oregon, outstanding. You got 3 guys who can really catch the ball all over the field. And plus, add another one, the tight end, Terrence Ferguson. And then add the running game. Now, the running game hasn't been outstanding, but it's there. And it has a high ceiling. And that's how you look at things. That's how you scout players. Do they have a high ceiling? The running game has a high ceiling, and it helps Dylan in the passing game.
So where does Oregon hold the clear advantage? Everywhere. It sounds like not just quarterback, but their entire offense.
Supporting
Anthony.
cast, yeah.
Pacific Office Automation has your entire office game plan. Visit them today for a full technology assessment at pacificoffice.com. Pacific Office Automation, problem solved. Coming up next, we'll talk to Ducks color analyst Mike Jorgensen, giving his thoughts on Oregon's matchup with UCLA. But now it's time for Ducks Game Day weather every 10 minutes, brought to you by Victorico's Mexican Food. Order Victorico's for your game day celebration in-store or online for pickup or delivery at victoricos.com. Here's Rusty.
72, partly cloudy here in Portland. Ducks game day forecast calls for increasing clouds throughout the afternoon and evening, looking at a low of 50. Tomorrow, mostly sunny, a high of 69. For tonight's 8 o'clock kick in Pasadena, clear skies, 68 degrees, and very little wind. I'm Jeff Rust with Ducks Game Day weather every 10 minutes, brought to you by Victor Rico's Mexican Food.
Tommy! I can't wait for golf this weekend, huh, buddy? Time flies.
By Coors Light, mountain cold refreshment. Choose chill. Celebrate responsibly. Continues with Ask Jorgie, a preview of today's game with network color analyst and former Ducks quarterback Mike Jorgensen on the Odyssey app and 1080 The Fan.
All right, let's get right into it. Waste no time. Jorgie, great to talk to you. I think it's the first time we've gotten to connect, so it's a huge moment for me. But I do need to ask you, after Oregon's great start to the season, of course, a couple of questions, at least about a couple of points on their team. Where can Oregon most improve still at this point in the season?
Ooh, that's a tough question right there. To me, I guess I would say consistency. It's, you look at what they did the first two games with Idaho and Boise State on offense and on defense, and then they kind of put all that behind them when they played Oregon State 2 weeks ago in Corvallis. And that's the type of game and the performance and, frankly, the expectation that these guys have of themselves. But for me, I guess instead of maybe choosing one particular part of the game, I would just say consistency on both sides of the ball. Pressure on the quarterback, run the ball, as Anthony always hears me say. If he can run the ball, you can throw the ball for the most part. And you just want to continue that consistency going forward. And then defensively, they were just lights out in that second half, in particular against the Beavers. And so consistency the next couple of weeks before Ohio State gets to town.
Jorgie, I got a couple things, and it's real quick. First of all, this is a night game, but remember when we played down there, the smog was a problem sometimes. It was just that first half, Coach Brooks was getting mad at us because we couldn't breathe, and we're complaining about the smog. So apparently there's no smog right now. It's night. It will be night. But my second question is this, okay? Let's be real. I know you have to be a professional, but UCLA, they have a lot of problems. Are they a threat? Are they a good football team, or are they struggling right now?
They shouldn't be, Anthony. I mean, if I'm going to be truthful, they shouldn't be. They played probably their best half of football against LSU in Death Valley last week, and then LSU just pulled away as the second half came out. They didn't play well against Hawaii, and Hawaii is not a good team. I think Indiana's decent. I really do. But Indiana came here to the Rose Bowl and drilled them. So if you are the team that you're supposed to be in Oregon, and the team that they want to continue to accomplish and be, and the consistency they want to see, this game should be a game that they come out and do just like they did with the Beavers. Offensively, operate the way you want to. Defensively, defend a quarterback, and Ethan Garbers that isn't the most efficient passer in the world. He can move around with his legs. But Oregon showed last week with McCoy in the second half, you can hem guys like that in. And UCLA has not run the ball well at all. So to answer your question, yeah, Oregon on paper should not have a problem with this game.
Jorgie, do you expect to see Dylan Gabriel take another step this week? I mean, he was at the top of the Heisman conversation to start the season. Obviously, been down a little bit, but still a great season so far. 900 passing yards, 6 touchdowns, no picks. Do you think that we see some growth again from him this game? Not that he hasn't been great, but I still think that we have yet to see the best Dylan Gabriel.
Yeah, it's funny you ask that question, Jordan, and you look at him. You just said it. He's thrown for almost 1,000 yards, no interceptions, 6 touchdowns. He's completing 84% of his passes. I mean, what else are you supposed to do, frankly? And,
really?
I don't know what else you do. He had a long touchdown run against Oregon State last week, and And that just adds a little wrinkle to Oregon's offense that defenses have to pay attention to, that Dylan Gabriel, he's not going to be a running quarterback. He's going to run it 10 or 15 times a game. Yeah. But all you got to do is do that 2 or 3 times, and it changes everything. So, to me, again, if he is going to continue to be the guy that he wants to be and be able to threaten that Heisman Trophy at the end of the season, it's the consistency that he's played with so far this year. It's the consistency that we saw in Bo Nix last year in particular, where the touchdowns to interception ratio was huge to the touchdown side of things, being efficient and not throwing the ball into harm's way. That's something he hasn't done all season long.
All right, Jorgie, let's wrap it up with your prediction. Do you expect Oregon to win by a lot?
I like the pause.
Yeah,
I
no
love
answer.
the pause.
Anthony knows I want to always be cautious and not disrespectful to anybody, okay?
Sorry, my bad. I didn't mean to set you up for that,
No,
Mike.
I love that.
That's okay.
I love that.
If they're doing what they're supposed to be doing, they should come out here and be able to handle UCLA just like they did Oregon State. Do I expect the score to be the same? I don't know. But at the same time, they should not have a tough time in this game with UCLA. Who knows? UCLA may play another good first half like they did against LSU, being that they're at home. But if Oregon doesn't come out in the second half in a close game and blow the doors off this thing, I'd be surprised.
Oh, Mike, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule down there in Pasadena. We really appreciate you. Have a great call, and hopefully we're cheering a Ducks win on tonight.
That's right, guys. Thanks for having me on. Appreciate it.
Yeah,
All
appreciate
right,
it.
thanks.
Wave at him as he goes. Mike Jorgensen, former Ducks quarterback, current Oregon Duck football analyst, in the booth for every game, along with Jerry Allen, and you can hear them both right here on Sports Radio 1080 The Fan. Kickoff against the Bruins coming up tonight at 8 p.m. right here on The Fan. Coming up next, we got to get to what is at stake. What's at stake for the Oregon Ducks and their matchup with UCLA? That's coming up next on a Schultze and Anthony Newman edition of Game Day here on 1080 The Fan.
And make some picks.
How do you feel about this weekend?
Do you rent that yacht?
No, I own it.
That's how I feel about this weekend.
It's time for What's at Stake as the Ducks Game Day hosts look at the most impactful games in college football. Brought to you by Laurelhurst Market, more than just your friendly neighborhood steakhouse. Make your reservation today at laurelhurstmarket.com.
Hey, make sure you stick around tonight. Catch the Pacific Office Automation postgame scoreboard show and the Game Day Secret Score. You can win a $100 Laurelhurst Market gift card that's given away in the 7 a.m. hour on Monday morning's show for Dirt and Sprague. So make sure you tune in tonight. We'll give you the secret score, all brought to you by Laurelhurst Market. And you will give that out on the Pacific Office Automation postgame scoreboard show with Ryan Buckley and Will Ortner into the wee hours of the morning. A late kick. So, Anthony, what is at stake for you in Oregon's late matchup with UCLA? There's quite a few things, I guess, that come to mind. But what comes to mind for you, my friend?
Being consistent.
Okay.
I think Oregon had a problem with that, in the Idaho game, Boise State game, being consistent, playing 4 quarters of good football. And in Oregon State, they played really two great quarters of football. The first two quarters, it kind of struggled a little bit. The Oregon's defense played really well. But being consistent for the whole game and don't give this team a chance or give them any light to think that they can hang with Oregon football.
Yeah.
Because when you really look at it, and again, this game is not played on paper. I understand that. People, I played football for a long time, okay, and I do a little bit of coaching as well. It's the players on the field that have to play.
Yeah.
But there's a lot more dudes on Oregon side than there are than UCLA side. UCLA, they lost all their players. So this is the game here where you beat this team, you beat them by 20. Get after them, beat them by 20.
I like that.
20 or more.
No, I think that's a pretty similar answer to what's at stake for me for Oregon today as well. I think it's basically down to whether or not they come out firing on all cylinders, especially after a bye week. Coming off that bye week, you don't want to be sluggish. You got to open the game strong. And in 2023, Oregon struggled to play full 60-minute games, and that is something that elite teams usually don't struggle at. And if you want Oregon to be competing at the end of the year in the college football playoff, they need to, from week to week, play full 60-minute games, and I think it's a true test for them today, Anthony, coming off the bye week. So I think their reputation as a team that can play full 60-minute games, that is what's at stake today. That is what is at stake today for your Oregon Ducks. And remember to check out Laurelhurst Market, more than just your friendly neighborhood steakhouse. Make your reservation today at laurelhurstmarket.com. Coming up next, Anthony and I going to wrap it up here in Portland, give our predictions for Oregon's game against UCLA later tonight. That is the wrap-up segment coming up here on a Ducks Game Day edition of We're with Schultze and Anthony Newman on 1080 The Fan.
Division. Don't let the game play you. For more information on problem gambling prevention and treatment resources, visit opgr.org.
Well, Oregon favored heavily. A 24-point spread for the Ducks and UCLA coming up tonight. I do believe the Ducks will be that dominant. I'm not really sure there's much of a case for UCLA to cover. No way they could pull off a shocker. Anthony, what is your prediction for today's matchup between number 8 Oregon and UCLA?
Yes, I think they cover. There's a group that we didn't talk about.
Okay.
Special teams. Tez Johnson, punt returner.
Yeah.
Taking it back for 6. Noah Whittington, kickoff returner, taking it back for 6.
As long as he holds on to it into the end zone.
Yeah, that's true too. Yeah, but that gives points to the team. It helps.
It's true.
So they cover.
All right, so you're saying special teams help them cover. I love that. At least a 24-point win for Oregon. I'm going to go with a 49-10 beatdown. I believe Oregon covers as well. That 24-point spread very easily. It's going to look similar to what their game against Oregon State did. They're going to beat UCLA pretty handily today, and I believe that they will be successful in keeping them off the field, managing the run, and I think Dylan Gabriel's going to have a big game, and Oregon's going to score a lot of points while doing so. And frankly, I'm kind of disappointed disappointed in Oregon's defense if they give up like 3 scores to UCLA at this point, because I think like in week 1 they barely won against Hawaii after scoring 1 touchdown, and I think their goal was like after their loss to Indiana was literally just to score 2 touchdowns in a game. So I am really hopeful that the Oregon Ducks elite defense can actually be elite tonight, and that we see them held to a field goal and a touchdown. So yeah, going with a 49-10 beatdown. Oregon covers, and that's UCLA, my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Well, it's a good point, because UCLA they average only 15 points per game.
Yeah, 15.3.
Come on.
Yeah, I'm not. Yeah, I heard.
That's good.
I heard a couple other predictions say 17. I don't think it's going to get there. The line to watch brought to you by at least UCLA's point number. 17. No, I don't think they're scoring 2 touchdowns and a field goal. I just don't. I don't want to see Oregon's defense give up 3 scores in this game. The line to watch brought to you by Multnomah County Behavioral Health Division. Don't let the game play you. For more info on problem gambling prevention and treatment resources, visit opgr.org. That is going to do it for us here in Portland. Anthony, thank you so much, man. This was a blast.
Hey, thank you. It was great.
Jeff Rust, really appreciate you doing all the heavy lifting, all the weather reports. Would not be able to do this without you, my friend. Make sure to stick around and catch Oregon's pregame coverage, as well as the Pacific Office Automation postgame show after the game. It's a late one, but Ryan Buckley and Will Orton are going to be with you until the wee hours of the morning. Thanks again to Anthony. Thanks again to Jeff Rust. And thanks again to everybody for listening and tuning in. Hope you're all rooting for a Ducks win along with me tonight. You're listening to 1080 The Fan. Go Ducks!
Oregon Ducks football on 1080 The Fan is